And we are on the air. Uh, greetings, good people. Happy New Year, Brandon. No radio. Maybe some other people that might stumble in a little bit later. Happy New
What up to
Year,
y'all? Happy New
Merry
Year to
Christmas,
y'all. Everybody
Happy
out there
New
in
Year.
YouTube land.
Happy Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever your religion is. Happy whatever that is for you. What's going on, people?
Nothing much is under the weather.
Oh, dog, we know that you was under the weather. You was wrestling your pillow for the last couple weeks.
So literally.
You were, I don't know who won,
I'm pretty sure
but
Mitchell beat him on the pillow.
no. Uh, but
Brandon, you know you was biting the pillow, Brandon. That's what.
That pillow's probably biting me more than anything.
No.
no. But glad to hear y'all. Now to serve up some good old fashioned tech news. Everybody in here already knows what happened over the holiday season, and I did a video on it, highlighting the possibility of, and lo and behold, Google pulls a rabbit out of his hat and snags the Holy Grail. Now, if you have been living under a rock for a while, then you probably don't know, and I'll be happy to refresh this, but this is a different spin. So we're putting a different spin on this subject. Give me 1 second. Where's it? Where's my cursor? There it is. So YouTube will be the new home for the Sunday ticket. Now, regardless of how you might feel, some people are going to be like yay, some people are going to be nay. Depends on what side of the fence you on. I challenge everybody in this room right now for a different perspective. Now that YouTube gets the Sunday ticket, are our cellular carrier our cellular carrier plans up to the task?
What do you
What's up,
mean?
EM?
What up,
Because
gentlemen?
what's going on, sir? Because, and I say it like this: now that streaming has come to the NFL, are people's cell phones ready for streaming? Especially their cell phone plans. Because everybody I talk to goes, I don't need all that. All I need to do is call and text. Now you're getting ready to add major heavy streaming
EMT,
to
can I
these cellular
ask you a
networks.
serious question, bro?
What up?
Since you've been in the industry for a long, long time. Um, who actually makes who actually makes the choice of the carrier plan, the consumer or mainly the sales rep?
Um, I mean, it depends. So if you're talking like just straight out the gate, most people who I used to work with would come in and have zero clue about the current plans and their offerings and the differences and intricacies, what gets you this, what gets you that. It's kind of the responsibility of the sales rep to present those options and, you know, make it easily digestible to the customer what the plan differences are.
Hmm.
Um, but like 9 times out of 10, it was what plan will get me access to this promotion? Are you on a shared plan that, and you're looking to do whatever trade in, you got to be on unlimited. It would be okay. What's my minimum cost of entry to get the deal that I saw on the commercial or
Hmm.
whatever? That's kind of the MO that I got from most customers.
So you saying that you saw that people were like, just give me the bare bones?
It depends. It depends. Like when I worked, especially with AT&T, um, it was a lot of I'm on an old 30 gig shared plan from a bajillion years ago, and I'm getting a really good deal. Spoiler alert, they're not actually getting a really good deal, but they think they are. And it was I don't even use that much data, but I saw this commercial for my trade-in on my iPhone, and then we'd have to go through and change the plan. And then you'd have like some people would want to do elite, some people want to do extra, whatever. But I never really had people coming in to like specifically request a plan. If that kind of answers your question.
So
So
would you
basically, they don't know what they're paying for. They just know that they can use the internet talking tags, and sometimes the perks they don't even know which perks they have or any of that.
I saw that, yeah, more often than not. I saw that with AT&T, with Verizon, and T-Mobile. It was a lot of like, okay, I know I have the Disney plan, or I know I have the plan that gets me Netflix,
Right.
or whatever. And then you always have like the people who are like super hotspot intensive users that need like the most amount of hotspot. There's a lot of people out there like that. And those are the type of people who will like look into the plans before they make a purchasing decision. But the overwhelming majority, it was, what promos do I have access to with my current plan? What plan do I have to get the advertised promotion? And they didn't really care about the rest.
well, as a baseline, like out the door, would you say it was more like 70-30? So like let's say that the top tier and then whatever's left, what is whatever for what the largest percentage. What do you think it was?
In terms of
Like
what,
what you
like,
like what it was that you saw customers come into the store for. So like I know what you say, like, people didn't really care, but how big of a percentage are we talking? Like, are we talking 70% of people that came into the store was like, yo, I heard there was an iPhone plan that I can get, an iPhone deal that I can get, give me the plan to go along with it. I don't care what it is. Was that the 70%, or were that the 30%?
that was probably closer to like 80-20.
Oh,
I'll
eighty
be honest
twenty.
with it. Yeah, yeah. And then, it was like, okay, well, you know, with Verizon, it's a lot of like, okay, well, you have to be on what they consider a premium plan. Well, there's three different premium plans, and then that was like where a lot of the breakdown would happen in like a
Uh-huh.
discussion or a sales pitch. It's like, okay, well, do you travel internationally? Blah 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 blah. And then people really started to, I think, kind of understand
What's
that. At
up,
that
Red?
point is when people would kind of understand it. But it, coming in, your initial conversation is, I saw this ad, I saw this promo. Can I get it? And then, no, you can't get it. Okay, well, what plan do I need? And then you go from there and you break it down. But that conversation happens, uh, 80 to, I would almost say 9 out of 10 times, honestly.
Mm.
It,
Well,
it's a
okay.
it's an overwhelming majority.
So here's the thing. So now that we got streaming, like, we're going to look. I think that now we're about to hit what 5G actually is. Like, we joked and played around with the whole idea of, that particular doctor that does this weird surgery is going to be in the back of a golf cart doing surgery on somebody who's in, San Francisco, but he didn't want to get on the flight, so he's going to remote in and via 5G to do this. We those were pipe dreams more than anything. Right here, this right here, YouTube streaming, the NFL Sunday Ticket. This is the use case of what 5G is about to happen. So
But
what
how?
do you mean
That's what I'm about to
how?
ask. how does this change anything? We're already in an era where like streaming is already 80-something% of all internet traffic. How is this going to increase that so
Edmund,
much?
people
It's
stream
not.
Netflix on the
It's
road.
not the same, because here's the thing: live television is different than you can just hop into, like, let's say you're gonna get on a flight and you pre-download, your
Yeah, but that's
Netflix
backbone.
library, right?
Yeah, but what you're talking about, Keon, is not going to be the front end. It's going to be the back end of the network, not the front end. The
Well, I'm
back
talking
end is
about
what's going
people's.
to be stressed for live.
I'm
The
talking
cell
about
towers
like
ain't going to
people's.
be stressed for live. The cell
I'm
tower
talking
doesn't
about.
care if it's 5
I'm,
megabits for the bit rate. It's 5 megabits. That doesn't change because it's live. The only thing that changes is the backbone has to
I'm
do
talking
more work to
about.
distribute it.
I'm talking about people's cell phone plans are not ready for this.
What do you
Like
mean?
people,
Edmund,
because
I will tell you this: YouTube is probably the second, if not first, the most compressed out of all of them. So I'm sure that they're
you're thinking of YouTube. You're thinking of YouTube as videos, like
but I'm
video
sure that
on
they're going to
demand.
find a way to
But
be
but
able
but
for it to
Keon,
use.
live video does not use more bit rate. So what are you talking about?
It's not okay. There's still going to be more data consumption. Now, even though it doesn't use a lot of data per se, it still uses a lot of data at a consumption rate.
I think what Keon's trying to say is that there's going to be more incentive for people to consume at NFL games on mobile traffic because it's coming to YouTube TV. I think that's
Yeah,
what
I
he's
get
trying to say.
that, but that's literally going to be what, 1 day, like 1 day or 2 days out of the week during the season, and the rest of the year it doesn't matter. Think about it.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I'm talking about like so like one of the things I have when I have conversations with people, and the same type of thing that EM was talking about a while ago. People just wanted to get a service to fit whatever they saw on television or whatever they think they can qualify
I get on
for.
that part. So
But
what I'm saying is, right, if
what's
you're a
gonna
football
happen?
fan, right? Okay, let's do it like this, right? Let's do it like this. Let's break it down, right? You're talking about people's data plans, right? People who don't have unlimited data.
Right.
Is that what we're talking about?
No, I'm talking about people who got the like, let's say the 50 gig at most, 50 gig premium data plans.
Exactly, right? So
Or are you
okay,
talking
so
about people that have only 480p?
Hey,
Yeah, the premium data is not going to impact their streaming at all. That's all going to stay the same.
And if you have a lot of mid-band everywhere, then that's not going to impact you either.
But you're still going to burn through that data, especially if you got a particular plan. Like for somebody like me, I don't care.
But Keon, you got to remember that. Let's look at every carrier's plan, postpaid plan that does not include unlimited premium data. Verizon caps you at 720p. AT&T caps you at 480p. T-Mobile also caps you at 480p. They're not going to consume that much more data over these live streams because they're already arbitrarily limited by the plan that they're on.
Yep.
So
Not
the
really
impact,
gonna change anything.
yeah, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to have that much of an impact on their data usage or their premium data usage.
The only thing you introduce, Keon, is you're going to get people who might not have been streaming to start streaming, but that still doesn't matter. That just means they already had a bunch of data they didn't use anyway. They're just now going to start using it.
And I understand that, but you're telling me that people's data consumption is not going to go up because of this?
It's not going to go up enough to matter because the streaming is already using like most majority of the internet already. Just football ain't going to make that fall over the edge for on mobile. You might now, I'll tell you what you will see though, Keon. What you will see is people's home internet usage go up because most people are going to watch it. They're going to be at home watching the football games. People who would have watched on regular conventional cable or satellite, whatever, they're now going to be streaming it. That's going to go up more than mobile.
No, I do agree that that's going to go up, but
and think about too, all the
you're saying
bars
that
with
that's not going to be
8, 9 TVs. It's going to be drastic there. Mobile, this ain't really going to change nothing. They're just going to be watching football instead of something else they would have been watching anyway while they were out.
Yep.
It's kind of like watching the World Series.
So the guy who couldn't watch his team's game, so he's watching something else, he's just going to start watching his team's game now. He's still using data regardless.
Keep in mind, Edmund, that Sunday tickets only on for 6 hours out of the day.
Look, understand something. Here in America, Sunday is the holy grail for
I get that.
football here. Only thing I'm saying is
all I'm asking you is, what was the guy doing before he had Sunday Ticket Mobile? What was he doing? What do you think he was doing?
a lot of people didn't even have access to it.
Well, no, that's what I'm talking about. I'm saying the guy who didn't have access, right? Who now has access. That means that normally he would have been, say he's at work on the game day, and he don't have access, right? What was he probably doing? He was probably just watching something else.
That's true.
And now all he's gonna do is be able to watch the football. You telling me that he went from? You're assuming he's watching nothing, and he's now just gonna start watching because of football.
No. I'm not saying it like that. What I'm saying is
the day consumption ain't really pinging. I look
at it from a point of view of like when I was around my family this Christmas, okay?
Yeah.
And everybody's phone was going off because like we're sitting in church and everybody's like, this is on a Saturday, so we're sitting in church conversating, and somebody goes, "Man, what's the score? What's the score?" And then somebody's reading off of some
Google
blog site. They
They
reading some blog site that's giving a play-by-play, right? But everybody's like, "Oh, really? What? Ooh, they just scored. Man, I need them to lose. I need them to win. I need them to do X, Y, and Z." Right now, instead of them reading some blog, they're gonna actually just watch the game because they didn't have access to it when they want at home.
You want to know what my church used to do, Keon? On Sunday. Oh, they had a game going in the back. And even the pastor would go back there in the fellowship hall after church was over, and they'd watch it in the back. So now the church is going to have a Roku in the back room. And they're going to be watching it on the big projector screen if it's a church like mine.
Lord, please raise up Dak. Dak, he needs to pass the ball the best way he can. Praise God. Yeah.
The preacher is praying on it.
Edmund, the thing about this is that the worst part about this YouTube getting a Sunday Ticket is that you still can't watch your in-home games.
What do you mean?
If you live in market.
Yeah, you can't watch them.
That's because they're gonna make you watch it on the local.
Yeah, you just watch it on the local. That's it.
Yeah, but
what's up, Austin? No,
means you only have to if you're a Dish Network customer.
For me, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. So all of my games are out of market unless they play Washington.
No, but what I'm saying is that a lot of people still don't know that. Like, for example, a lot of people don't have antennas on their TVs, or
you don't need an antenna if you got YouTube TV.
If you got YouTube TV, you get the local channels.
No, but let's say that YouTube sells the service a la carte, and
it doesn't matter.
It's not going to make enough of a difference for. The only thing that's going to change is a increase in usage on other networks on Sundays rather than being on DirecTV. That's it. I don't think it's going to make as big of an impact as you think it's going to.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I think it's going to make a sizable impact. And this is the reason why I say it, right? I understand that, y'all don't see it the same exact way. I totally respect that. But the problem is this: is every single person that I'm standing around, family members, right? All I hear is the ESPN jingle, do-do-do, and it's updating them on their fantasy and everything. And then on top of that, I asked a bunch of customers in my Uber this past week after I got back home how they might have felt about this. People are excited about it. You know what I mean? And the fact that you can be anywhere, you don't have to be stuck at home, because everybody revolved their whole life about being at home. Now you could be on the go and still be watching football.
Yeah, get all that part.
I'm just saying.
No, I mean, I'm not saying that those people don't exist. I'm just saying that I think the overall impact that you think it's going to have on the networks It's
No,
not
no,
going to
no.
make that much of a
I don't think.
difference.
I'm not talking about. Here's the thing. I'm not talking about the impact on the network. I'm talking about the impact on customers' bills, because there's a lot of people who don't have a bill that's set up for streaming.
Oh, well, so you're just saying that people don't have plans with unlimited data. That's what you're saying.
Right. I mean, well, there's people who have unlimited, quote unquote, unlimited data. You
But I
know
would
what I mean?
argue
They
the
have
majority of the
unlimited data,
market.
quote unquote.
So you're talking about the essential starter, welcome.
Right. People
I don't
who
think
are
those
the
are the majority. I don't think those are the majority at all. That's a very small group.
Yeah, those people don't care.
Even Verizon's come out and said that the adoption rate for their higher end plans is closer to 60%.
Yep.
And I can tell you right now, after talking with people who work at T-Mobile, the Magenta Max adoption rate is through the roof.
Oh yeah, I believe that one.
So those people, if those people are already the majority, the people who are going to be more impacted by potentially wanting to watch NFL games on their mobile phones when they're not on Wi-Fi because of this is going to be such a small fraction of the customer base. And quite frankly, they probably should have been on higher end plans to begin with.
But people don't change their plan. You still got people who are on data buckets on Verizon, sir. Come on, we all know this.
No, I understand that. But the thing is that Verizon's gotten very aggressive over the last 12 to 18 months to get those people off those plans. And most people have switched off of them.
I've actually had a customer that was on a 20 gig plan and was using DirecTV Stream and didn't have home internet, and then just upgraded to unlimited.
Hey, I just think that right now, before nobody really cared, and I think that now, we're going to start seeing people care. I asked a lot of people like, "Hey, what their cell phone plan was," and I would hear like, "Oh, I got the bare bones," or "I got the the welcome unlimited or the equivalent, something equivalent of." And be like, "You don't see yourself using more data?" No, good. But now,
my thing is, how much data?
Talk about Dave.
Yeah.
No, we're not talking about Dave. Dave, we're not talking about you, sir. I just want to make sure we're not talking about him.
If someone was supposed to stream one of these games, so they were streaming from about 12 o'clock till I was streaming from 12 to 8. That was about all the games. How much data would that be? Because I can actually take a look at it and go in my settings and see how much data it was actually.
In theory, 8 gigs if you're streaming for 8 hours.
Yeah,
for a gig an hour.
Nothing.
But the truth is, it's gonna probably be compressed way smaller than that.
Oh yeah.
But remember, there's probably a whole lot of people that's gonna want to change, but they're on like plans where they got like 30 gigs allotted for the whole month.
But we also got to realize too, Keon, we're talking about super fans. We're not talking about everybody on every corner.
Oh yeah,
super
fans are
super fans. They're super fans. It's not every single customer on YouTube getting this. It's going to be super fans.
And Edmund, also keep in mind, if those people have a tablet, they're pretty much gonna get a 1080p screen. Most of them don't give you 40p.
Right.
Is there
and on top of that,
phones that have 4K?
There's only one. It's like a Sony phone.
Okay.
Which one?
4K is not going to be
Sony. Yeah, Sony has one.
Xperia 1 Mark III or something.
It ain't like you can tell on that size of screen anyway.
Hey, look, 4K is already hard enough as it is to tell. Like you need a screen pretty sizable to tell 4K. So 4K on your phone means nothing. It doesn't even look. It just looks sharper. That's where HDR comes in at. All right, what's going on, Gene?
But Keon, I'm gonna tell you something else, Keon. Right? If somebody is wanting to spend $300 for NFL ticket, you're saying that same person is cheaper on their cell phone bill?
No. I think there's going to be a lot of cell phone bill changing because of the NFL Sunday ticket.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, that's already a minority group that watch the Sunday ticket to begin with.
So Edwin, you're telling me that Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile are gonna say, "Hey, if you use data on Sunday Ticket, you have to pay more"?
No. I'm not saying that. No.
He's saying
What I'm
people are going
saying
to upgrade their
is
plans because
what I'm
of it.
saying is people's plans aren't ready for the Sunday Ticket. That's what I'm saying.
So
So
Keon,
what
this
plan
is
do you
just like
think you have to be
the
on?
Stadia argument that you made, right? This is like the
Oh,
Stadia argument, right?
yes,
This, this,
I know
we
this. Why you
we
gotta go
we
back and rehash this one?
because it applies, right? You talk about
Yes.
Stadia like everybody wants it and they're just missing out, right? And now it's everybody wants NFL ticket on the go and they're just missing out. It's the same kind of
No,
argument you got going. I'm
no,
arguing that most
not
people. Okay, so all I'm saying is, you're the NFL super fan, right? You're crazy about football. You're probably not going to watch the game on a 6-inch screen. You're going to take your ass home and watch it on your big ass fucking 4K at the crib. You're going to. I'm just saying. I know
Hey,
these
look,
guys. These people are picky.
look, man.
They
Look.
look.
I'm just telling you
They
that
literally turn down business opportunities so they can be home to watch the game. They
I had
literally.
Let me tell you something. I'm not saying that I account for every single problem or seen every single problem that comes across. But like this past Thursday, I put in my Uber the Thursday night game for the football. Okay, put it on, driving around.
Yep.
People coming out of their house to go see a friend or whatever, and they hop in talking about, I was just looking at this game. I can't believe you got it on right there. So
And they're
wherever they
probably
were
going to
going,
the friend's house to watch the game even more.
but I didn't go that deep. But what I always keep finding is people are always leaving somewhere to go
Oh, I get
somewhere
that.
else, and then they missing out on said football game. So
What I'm saying is, I guarantee that there's more people watching YouTube than watching football.
no, there is. We know that. Come on,
Think
man.
about it. You're in
We
the
the
car with
veterans
your
know that.
family. I'm in the car with my family. My wife's watching YouTube. My kids in the back seat watching YouTube.
Yeah,
They're already
YouTube.
on data. They're already on the data. What I'm saying is, the same person you're talking about is probably already consuming video on the go. They're just going to consume different video.
And there's probably more people to this day streaming more Netflix than there is YouTube. I mean football.
Well,
All I'm
because here's
saying
the
is,
thing.
that same guy who can't get away from his content, he's probably already watching something on the go. He's just now going to be able to watch football.
Yeah.
You think that people decide not to watch anything because they can't watch football?
So hold on. Gene says, how
Also,
much will the Sunday ticket cost on YouTube TV?
over 300.
It's gonna be probably about 300 because it can't go below that due to the
Yeah,
fact
can't go lower.
of the streaming agreements that have with CBS and Fox. So the out of market, the in market games, they don't want to overstep those bounds, so they don't go below 300. Which is one of the reasons why Apple dropped out, because they wanted to make it cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
They probably want to try to give to everybody with Apple TV to get it to get it to sell.
Right. Hey, Ash,
Yeah.
didn't you tell me yesterday that
He's not
that
here
Apple?
no more.
Oh well, Ash told me that Apple all of a sudden wanted to make Apple TV available on Android before they dropped out. Well, how convenient of you, Apple, that you finally realized there's another operating system out there.
No, but Edmund, one thing that I will say about YouTube as well is that most of the time when they heavily advertise YouTube TV, they're always attracting sports.
They are doing what with sports?
They're attracting people. They're attracting the sports viewer.
Yeah, because the sport, like, understand, a sports viewer is going to be more engaged with said product.
Right, because a person that wants to watch Fox News, Lifetime, Hallmark, Animal Planet, whatever else, they're probably going to want to watch YouTube TV.
Those are casual. I mean, especially now,
Yeah.
a lot of those videos are DVR. Look, the NFL took its sweet time finally coming into the 21st century, but now that they're here, and that next year they're going to finally, actually be available to anybody who really wants it, because I don't think a lot of people know how many hoops you had to jump through to try to get the NFL Sunday ticket on your phone. Like,
Well,
You had to
yeah.
you had to call Dish up, but not Dish. You had to call DirecTV up. DirecTV's like, well, we need to send a technician to your home to see can we put a dish on your house, and then if we can't do it, then we'll give you the ability to stream it. Now, have they changed it? Did they change it within the last couple of years? I don't know, but 2014,
Wait.
2015.
I want to change the subject a little bit. Now, radio. Do you see
What's up?
DirecTV and Dish Network merging after this goes off?
I still don't see that merger happening. Because, like, look, it's going to kill itself. Like, they're both killing themselves anyway.
I mean, they're literally. I mean, if they
Look at
were
what-
there, it'd be like two of them going down the Death Valley.
All I'm saying is, have they learned anything from the Sirius XM situation?
Nope.
They're both dying companies. They merged. They were dying companies. They're still dying.
They're dying together.
They're dying together now. So what's the point of spending money to buy another company just to die? Streaming is, as internet becomes available to more people in rural, satellite is dying out. Satellite existed because people had no other options in rural.
Yeah.
Once we got good internet options, and then you also got the cable companies and fiber companies building in rural, it's killing satellite. Which is also probably why DirecTV didn't re-up NFL ticket. They didn't like go leaps and bounds trying to keep it because they're dying anyway. You go tell me the NFL
I don't think
Direct and was like, yo, how much y'all want to pay? Oh, y'all don't want to pay up? Well, we're gonna put this shit on the open market.
I mean, what are they paying like another $500 million more? I thought it first reported saying it was 2.5 billion, but now everybody keeps saying it's 2 billion a year. So that would only been $500 million more per year for DirecTV, and they didn't see themselves wanting to keep it.
Oh, DirecTV wasn't paying anywhere near what they just sold for. Nowhere near.
Oh wow.
Yeah, DirecTV. Well, at least when I was working there, they were only paying $50 million for the exclusive rights. It wasn't even hundreds of millions. It was literally $50 million.
Oh,
that was they paid $50 million up front, and then they also gave the majority of the profits to the NFL as well.
Huh.
Yeah, DirecTV they weren't paying billions for that. They weren't paying no billions, dog.
I remember seeing that when DirecTV ended up getting the Sunday ticket again, and it was predicated on the fact that AT&T was gonna buy it, right? It was like, yo, if y'all get the Sunday ticket, we're gonna buy you. And it was like for like 1.5 billion. And I thought that was 1.5 billion a year.
Yeah, but that was like near the death. That's near the end. I'm talking about the last 30 years. Last 30 years. Yeah, they weren't paying no billions for NFL Sunday ticket whatsoever.
Man.
Basically, DirecTV got priced out. They were not paying billions a year for it. They were paying like $50 million a year, upfront payment, $50 million, and then they were giving them like 90% of the proceeds.
So now that we're talking about streaming services right now, let's talk about how Netflix is going to adopt the worst thing in hell for most people in the coming months.
And what's that?
The password sharing thing.
Oh, you talking about they're gonna turn an asset, annoyance into an asset? Because that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're basically like, oh, y'all want to share passwords? We're not gonna stop you. We're just gonna charge you.
Yep.
Understand that's kind of what you're gonna see companies do now. They're not gonna stop you from doing something. That makes them easier.
They're gonna charge you a premium.
Yep. Hey, look, on what is it? For my YouTube TV, I can have up to 6 people. I can have up to 6 people shared on one account.
Did you realize Netflix is only doing that because their growth stagnated?
Yep.
That's why now they're going after the password shares. They're like, shit, we'd have way more accounts if we wouldn't let everybody share.
I think they should have took care of that early on, man. Look,
They got
I don't
spoiled.
feel like you should pour out some sympathy tears for them. They knew that people were password sharing. Like when all of a sudden the account shows up in Thailand and also in Bung Fudge, Egypt, Texas. You know what I mean? Like
but you gotta realize, Keon, they were making so much money before that they were like, forget it. If we gotta let people do that to keep getting subscriptions, they'll do it. And now that the growth is stagnated, like, oh shit, what are we gonna do to get this money now? Like I would argue that, but if you look at how many subscribers Netflix lost the last couple of years, they're probably just going to get removing password sharing. It's just going to put them back where they already were.
That's true.
They're just making up for all the accounts they lost.
Oh, even more is going to be like all the people that wants to do the commercials or the commercial tier of all these brands now.
Dude, I did not know this, but I didn't know that Roku, Apple TV, and some other devices, they block the commercial tier.
What do you mean?
Like
You don't have
cannot. No, like you cannot sign in with the commercial plan of Netflix on Apple TV, and I think Roku.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Wasn't it Disney Plus that had that?
Yeah, even Disney Plus has something like that too.
Huh. Hey, look, the streaming wars, dog, is bad right now. The streaming wars are terrible because people thought that liberating themselves from cable was gonna be the end all be all, and all of a sudden you put yourself back into the fire.
Yep.
You jumped out of the frying pan, went to the fire.
It's people thought that the streaming was going to save them. It's like, wait a minute, the same companies that you're going to be streaming from, you think they're going to behave different than the freaking cable companies? No, they want all the cable company money too.
We want our money. Smack. We want our money.
People said they did choice. They wanted a la carte. They wanted choice. So guess what? That comes at a cost. A la carte is never going to be cheaper.
I'll pay for whatever as long as I don't have to actively pay for a service that also feeds me commercials. Like seriously, dude.
I do feel a certain type of way about that because if I watch commercials, and that means that I am already paying you with my eyeballs at the same time I'm paying you with my dollars.
Exactly. And that conversation never really started to happen until, like companies like YouTube and Twitch, where you have the option to pay to not have ads, and then you solely get your content. And then it's like with cable, it's like, okay, well, I'm already paying you $80+ a month just to access the service, and then I have to watch commercials every 15 minutes. And it's like so I'm getting ads on top of having to pay for that service. It's just cable needs some reform.
It's just like the airlines, okay? So somebody actually made a video about the airlines, right? People talk about how bad flying is, right? But if you look in the old days, you see like when people were flying, like all the planes were luxurious and you're getting served food and all kind of crap, right? What people don't realize is you had to be rich to fly in the fucking 70s. In the 60s. You had to be rich to fly, right? Well, the way they made flying cheaper is by making it uncomfortable, making the seats small as crap, getting rid of all the extras so everybody can afford to fly. You got to look at cable the same way. If cable removes all the commercials, only rich people can afford it. That's what the thing is.
But here's the thing: it didn't justify the cost, though. Like here you go. So like take Comcast for example. Like to get the internet package and TV will be like $89 a month, right? Or maybe $100, depending on like what tier speed of internet you wanted. But then if you just get the internet now, it's $100 a month. But how much is the television side? It's still almost $100, and I still gotta watch commercials. I don't have all these commercials I can skip.
How much are they paying all the cable employees?
Hey, look, man.
I just said wages.
You trying to make me care about the the person who
I ain't
put
telling you
people
to
in my
care.
ground.
I'll tell you what it is that when these companies have to pay more for labor, you're going to pay more for the services. They're going to have to keep paying more for labor as time goes on. So the services are going to go up. Just like your company, if you work at most people who work at any company in America right now, everybody got raises. You ain't making $330 like it used to be in the 90s.
No,
People still miss paying $25 for basic cable without boxes, and they can have as many TVs. They miss that, right? But guess what? The cost has changed. The cost has changed. The cost of operating those businesses has changed. Therefore, your pricing must change. We will never have $25 basic cable with many boxes as you want again. It's never going to happen.
Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it.
Already, I remember it used to only be $10 way back then.
Way back. That's what I'm saying, though. But guess what? The guy was getting paid. He was getting paid like freaking $5 an hour back then.
Yeah.
Now that same guy is getting paid $30 an hour.
Now
you can't pay him 30 and still charge you 90s prices.
Now, I would like to segue into this next one. It's a little bit of a side tangent that our lovely community has always been talking about, and I would like to shout out to our fellow engineers on the Verizon side that you finally don't have to deal with
screwdriver. I'm looking
you
for
you don't have to deal with this anymore. So long, farewell to good old 3G.
No, we need
3G's
my
dead.
3G.
Good riddance.
3G's dead. You don't have to worry about it no more. Verizon is in the process of kicking the remaining customers off of the old 3G network. How do y'all feel about that? We know that it was coming.
Should have been done 3 years ago when they talked about it. 5 years ago when they started talking about it.
But here's the thing: why keep them? Why, if you knew that you were going to eventually knock them off, why did it take so long? That's always been my question. I understand that you don't want to anger some of your certain business customers, but how long do you suppose to support said technology where the customer doesn't want to change?
Well, you got to realize, and I didn't fully understand it until you look at the bigger picture. But there's a ton of IoT stuff and like passive devices that were relying on that 3G network that businesses either forgot about, didn't care about, needed to upgrade, never did, that they had to go through and filter. Okay, this vending machine has an old 3G backup for payment system, or it uses 3G for the payment processing or whatever. Like they have to go through and they have to make sure that they have adequate replacement solutions for all of those different little devices. And there's a lot of them. And that's what Verizon has always done compared to every other carrier, is a lot of enterprise.
Right. And here's my question though. If we have all but have gotten away from the old traditional light bulb, the filament light bulb, and moved towards like incandescents and even LEDs and different other things now, like who was sitting there going, man, that piece of equipment over in the corner got a lot of dust on it, but apparently it's still serving some weird purpose.
Well, you got to realize that in telecommunications, especially, a lot of companies approach when it comes to like their systems and stuff. If it isn't broke, don't touch it. That's quite literally it. It's like if it's not broken, it's still working. We don't, it could be something redundant and stupid that was replaced by a newer system 5 or 10 years ago, but they still have it running. It's better to be safe than sorry, especially when you're dealing with whatever it is, business operations. Companies would rather just pay for it and keep it running rather than spending money on the labor to go through and find out, oh, do I still need this wireless backup at my machine shop in the middle of wherever? Do we have a replacement already? Oh, we do? Well, we should probably just keep this one just in case. Those types of conversations happen a lot. And Verizon had to wait until they had, optimal placement options available. But
the North
I'm just
Carolina
saying,
lottery, the lottery system in North Carolina, most of those terminals are still running on freaking satellite.
What?
Yes, sir. And what's crazy is most of those gas stations already have like fiber or coax, and they still have the lottery running on satellite.
Oh God, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Talk about shit that they didn't have to have before, and now they got internet, and they're still running it on the satellite. Because we would get calls about people's lottery thing not working because they all assumed that they were hooked to the cable internet, but no, the lottery was still on the satellite. I had to point that out to them. Like,
Man,
we're running on that old thing. Yeah, you're running on that old thing.
look, my whole thing is this is there's gotta be a certain end of life scenario for a lot of different technologies, right? You don't scrounge around to try to find the last, filament bulb because that bulb socket is the only thing that you want to keep going. That's how I look at it. Like somebody had to sit around and go, man, you know what? This machine's been over here for a while. It might not be pulling the same numbers, but don't you think it's about that time?
Well, Ken, I'll tell you something we did whenever. So as we were expanding OFDMA in the cable plant, there was a bunch of extra capacity with the OFDMA, right? But you've got customers out there that still have old DOCSIS 3 modems, right?
Right.
And the DOCSIS 3 side of the network is congested, right? So we were going out in houses, knocking on doors, doing code knobs. Hey, you got an old modem, can we switch it? And people gave us resistance and resistance and resistance.
And I understand that. And then at a certain point, I think that you're gonna get left behind.
And that's what I was saying. We were doing code knocks. We were getting a list of addresses with old equipment and then go knock on the door. Hey, we need to swap your modem, but why it's working? Yeah, but your network's congested because you're using them old DOCSIS channels. If we got all this extra capacity on DMA, if we can just get you this modem in your house, everybody in the neighborhood will be better. Oh, I like my old modem. This modem's free. But that's how it is. So I can imagine Verizon trying to get some of these older businesses to switch out gear. They don't want to switch it.
Hey, look, if I was, understand, granted, I am not a CEO of any company. I would love to be the CEO of a company that I come up with one day, but I'm just saying I would literally come knocking on your door, say, hey, look, your, vending machine from the 30s and 40s is still using 3G. I know I'm exaggerating, but I'm just saying, here's a brochure of vending machines that can do on 4G. This thing will be killed off in the next couple months. You better hurry and pick. Have a nice day.
But what the customer does, the customer says, well, I can file a complaint. I shouldn't have to be switching my stuff. That's your problem. That's how they look at it. The customer's like, that's your problem. You need to provide me a better solution. I don't want to go buy something.
But that's crazy though, because I know for good well that Verizon is sit up there and say, hey, we're gonna have 3G forever.
They're gonna have to give all those
they said 3G forever, then they would be in a legal bind at that point.
Yeah, they're gonna have to give those customers free equipment.
I understand that all the rest of the companies, even T-Mobile kept their 3G longer than AT&T did. AT&T was like, "Boy, we about to kill this thing. Goodbye."
AT&T did it the right way. AT&T did it the right way.
I don't know about that one either because my wife can actually attest to this. She had a banking customer that had a credit card machine that was on AT&T 3G. They turned the 3G off on the tower and never notified the business.
Oh wow! I notified the company.
They lost that customer because of it too.
I guess let me rephrase. I think AT&T did it in a way that it brought the ultimatum to those customers right away, and they had a solution in place that I think was adequate and comparable, especially when it came to mobile devices. Back when that 3G, because that was beginning of 2021 that they did that, or was it beginning?
I know Verizon sent letters out at the end of 2019.
Yeah, but AT&T it was like February of 21.
Mm-hmm.
Months prior to that, like I'm talking like November, December, even into January, I used to have customers that would come in and they'd be like, I got this phone in the mail and it had a letter saying that my old phone's going to be disconnected. Like, do I have to pay for this? And no, AT&T was just giving out devices, free devices. And at that point, it's in the customer's.
You're right about that.
I mean,
Verizon sent a letter, but they didn't give the devices immediate. You had to request the device from Verizon. That was the thing with Verizon that they did wrong. The customer had to request.
Up until the last couple months, though, because they got to a point where they were shipping them out.
So AT&T was throwing the phone up on your porch. Was like, you better hurry up and switch. Good luck, deuces.
I think I told you, Ken, they gave a guy that I was actually installing CBRS at his house for the test, and he was talking about how his Verizon phone wasn't working anymore. And I said, what kind of phone you got? And he pulls this old flip phone out. And I'm like, yeah, they probably turned the 3G off out here, dog. And then he was like, what? I was like, look, call Verizon and ask them about it, because I'm pretty sure letters went out about, you need to change your phone. Oh, I do remember that letter. And then a week later, because he's one of the testing customers, we were going back and forth to these houses anyway. He was like, yeah, Verizon gave me a free LG G8. They gave him a free LG. They didn't even give him the crappy $25 flip phone. They actually gave him an LG G8.
They probably got a whole boatload of them sitting in a warehouse somewhere right now.
Yeah, because nobody bought the G8. You found one. Here.
Well, and AT&T was giving out. I had a customer who came in. He had an S6 or an S5, and they gave him a Note 10, a Note 10 Plus. Like that is a very capable and comparable. I'd say a fair replacement for free, no strings attached. And you know what that customer was so frustrated with AT&T because they had suspended his service that he just took that phone and traded it in Verizon to get a deal.
But here's the thing: they did, like, the carriers did everything they can to get people off of their 3G network. And if you are that stubborn customer that's sitting there going, man, I really like my machine that works off this old network that needs helium to keep it cool. Why you even cater to that person anymore? You do everything you can for them, give them the brochure for whatever weird machine they have. Hey, look, this is going to get turned off. We just want to, give you the courtesy knock. And then when, the next day, turn it off. Click.
Yeah. But I would imagine, Keanu, we're talking like heavy machinery. Most of them probably can use an external, meaning you could just add an internal device to them. You don't have to replace the whole machine.
Man, I seriously doubt that we had John Deere tractors running on 3G. Okay? And if they were, they probably got an upgrade module for 4G, if not 5G already.
Yeah.
Nice little upgrade module you slide in and bam, you upgraded the modem.
Yeah, I know the company, what is it, Ingenico. Ingenico is a credit card machine thing. That a lot of them had AT&T 3G built into the actual credit card machine, a little handheld.
Yeah, that was just something you read about how, like, some people's opinions were like, I don't think you should turn off the 3G yet. And other people was like, you should get rid of this thing now. Like, how long are you supposed to support an outdated service? That's the whole kicker. How long did you keep this going?
Hey, Ken, remember when they went to digital on the TV?
Yeah.
The government had to give out vouchers for you to go get you a little TV to the box.
Right. Look, you can go out there and go get yourself a little antenna. Here's a voucher. Go get yourself an antenna. We about to vacate these that spectrum that you're using to watch that old TV on. It doesn't look the same.
Goodbye and good riddance to 3G.
Hey, I know I'm hoping that I can end up talking to some of the engineers. I want to just tilt my hat and say you worked on it very well, and you can let that ghost go now.
Oh yeah, and we upgraded all of our trucks, Keon. All of our trucks, our bucket trucks, were on 3G.
Oh wow!
For the leakage systems, the leakage gear, yeah, we did it last year. We got all the new LTE radios to go with the leak systems put in. So we got the memo.
other entities didn't get that memo.
But guess what, though? Them systems are monitored by the FCC. You better believe we upgraded that shit.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
You don't want the FCC on your ass.
All right, so I got a controversial one, and I want to apologize in advance for this one. I don't like to ruffle your feathers too much, sir, but
oh boy,
we have to talk about this. And it was on Fierce. It was on Fierce Wireless, sir. I came across it. I must talk about it.
Can't be that bad.
So here we go. Is it time for millimeter wave 2.0? Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
So in this article I was reading, so basically they're not very pleased with Verizon's rollout of said millimeter wave.
Oh, here we go.
Oh jeez.
Now,
and who can they compare it to? Is my first question.
Well, hey, when they look at it from a worldwide standpoint.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they went to South Korea.
In 2021, there was only 1 to 2% of RAN market that had millimeter wave, active.
Hey, why are you working so hard?
So I want to, ask the crew, how do y'all feel about this right now? Do you think that millimeter wave has missed its mark and that we need a new renaissance rotated around it, or do you think the path that we're already on is good enough?
Try to go fast. If you don't want to break.
So I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The only company who's doing anything remotely innovative when it comes to millimeter wave is US Cellular. And I will stand by that. Because US Cellular is going out and they are looking to push the limits of millimeter wave in terms of distance. And that's been their whole shtick for the last 3 years. And
but in your market, they got a hefty market share.
But what I'm saying is
what about areas they don't have?
Well, where they don't have a network, they don't have a network. I'm just saying from a innovation standpoint, US Cellular is the only company who's looking to do anything unique with millimeter wave. Verizon's doing their thing, AT&T's copying Verizon, and T-Mobile is deploying millimeter wave so that they can maintain their spectrum licenses.
So who was okay? So when did anybody in the planet start using millimeter wave long distance? I'll give you a clue. It wasn't cellular. It was backhaul. Microwave backhaul is millimeter wave.
That's true.
Let's not forget that.
Yeah,
that is true.
So
some big old dishes on the side of your homie tower.
So technically, it's not really innovative necessarily.
But what I'm saying is from a consumer product standpoint.
So they're using it, but they're using home internet though, right?
Correct.
So it's.
I want to see more innovation around it. Like right now, currently, now. Like I said, this is just my opinion, and I know that my opinion only matters to only me. But what I see Verizon doing at millimeter wave here in Washington D.C. was more along the lines of, yo, we can get a permit for any spot that we can get it up at. Let's put it up, right? You know, before people start catching on what we're doing, let's hurry up and get it up. I haven't really seen a whole lot of innovation behind it right now. It's just a bunch of speed islands everywhere.
My next question too is: can we show an installation of this, of US Cellular doing millimeter wave from a macro directly to a home?
I would love to see that myself.
Because what I'm saying is, where is this? What city is it that's serving like hundreds of people off of millimeter wave from miles and miles away?
They've got it available in southern parts of Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa.
But my thing is it line of sight installation?
I believe so. So the gist that I've gotten is that you have a high gain antenna mounted externally somewhere,
like on your roof,
or somewhere, depends on where the macro is, and then they provide fixed wireless access via that high gain antenna.
I mean, Farmer John's doing that with Ubiquity on 60 gigahertz.
I mean, there's some commercial offerings in like Vegas that do something similar also.
Yeah, what I'm saying is it's not so innovative because it's been done.
Yeah, but I'm saying compared to what Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile are doing, they're the only ones who are stepping outside of their reach.
Yeah, but they're building a mobile network. Their home internet is a side project. It's an additional revenue stream. It's not the target.
Because the question comes down to, if you're going to do it for fixed wireless, right? If you're going to do this solely for fixed wireless, what is the infrastructure going to have to look like for serving people at their homes? Are you going to have that person, strap a pole next to their home, that's dug in the ground next to their foundation and just above their roof line? Is that what's going to be needed? Or is it going to be more along the lines of they, beam from a macro to a light pole, and the light pole goes and distributes it into the neighborhood that way?
That makes more sense though, because the reason why I even mentioned any of that, reason why I even mentioned it is because if say Verizon puts some ultra wideband on the site, right? They can serve people line of sight and not line of sight. If they were to do that with millimeter wave, they wouldn't be getting any of the non-line of sight people, and they would still end up having to stick them on the C-band anyway. What I'm getting at is you spend all that money to set that millimeter wave up, and then you get 50 customers because that's the only ones within line of sight. Or do you just target, or do you just build only where there's like some suburban neighborhood and you just target that one and you intentionally build to line of sight that neighborhood?
Yeah. But I mean,
I think you got to look at, and this is just the way that I was looking at it. Go on the FCC's broadband map when you have time, and then filter out by licensed fixed wireless in your cities that have millimeter wave, and look at just how many addresses actually qualify where they have millimeter wave nodes. It's not that many.
Yeah, but you're still looking at like home internet as a first, not as a secondary in that scenario.
But I think in those areas, in those suburbs, even within the city where they're deploying millimeter wave nodes in neighborhoods, what is the other intended purpose other than to feed fixed wireless?
The other intended purpose is a lot of these. So like the way they do them around here, they're clustered anyway. So they're always like centralized around the small cell. And those small cells are put there because there's either very little coverage or congestion. Verizon is just decongesting themselves. They're not going home internet first as the first. That's the reason why they put the small cell there too. The small cell goes with the millimeter wave. It'll be like 4 millimeter wave nodes and a small cell. And that's what serves that rural community. That little section of area.
But
I get what you're saying, Ian, though. If basically what he's saying is that he feels Verizon should be targeting fixed wireless above all, which is what US Cellular is technically doing, because we know they're not building an extensive network. So that's what I'm saying. They might be doing something extra with the millimeter wave, but they're still lacking on all the other parts of their network.
Right.
So Verizon would essentially have to shift away focus from the mobile network just to try to make fixed wireless as great as possible, which I don't think is Verizon's goal.
But here's the thing. I think
little
that
they're charging too for home internet. They're charging what people $25, $50.
$25 and $50 for that price.
They make more off a cell phone line.
Yeah, you can't go in and hand help every single customer that wants fixed wireless at that price.
Yeah, you make more money on the cellular line.
Exactly, but having the millimeter wave node in the neighborhood, it's the same concept as AT&T sending door-to-door salespeople to get people switched over from wireless when they sign up for fiber. It's much easier to grab someone for the mobile lines if you have a millimeter wave node in their front yard that you can get them hooked up fixed wireless with. It's the same concept.
I agree.
But here's the thing, like, how do you know that those people are going to be susceptible to what it is you're offering? Like, that's something I've always wanted to ask everybody in the community is, yeah, you putting up all these millimeter wave nodes everywhere, right? But the neighborhoods have fiber. So
not always.
Well, we're not saying always.
No. But I'm just saying
the areas where they put millimeter wave at typically has fiber too.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying for Verizon.
So when I see like a row of houses in a neighborhood, because DC is famous for row houses, but every single person in these row houses have access to Comcast and Fios. So you got a millimeter wave that's at the end of each neighborhood street. How is that effective? Like, I would rather want to see it. I would rather want to see it in the cul-de-sac that has barely one option, or where it's like DSL.
But I think U.S. Cellular is building that stuff where there is no other options. Odds are
they're actually building. Well, it's funny. It's the couple places I've seen their millimeter wave go up is where their parent company's building out fiber to the prem. So
exactly. No, that's what we're saying. So I get it. Well, yeah, millimeter wave, long distance, it's excellent, right? But if it is not a money driver though, that's the thing. Verizon's not going to go out of the. So I'll give you an example, right? There's called doing stuff for the money and doing stuff for science sake. Doing that long millimeter wave thing, that would be for science sake. Just to say we done it, we did something innovative, it's cool, right? But if it doesn't make money, it doesn't matter to a company like Verizon.
They don't make dollars, then they don't make sense.
Yeah. Sometimes what would be the coolest thing ever and the best technology is not profitable, which is why people would divert from it.
Because I look at it from a deployment standpoint, right? So don't look at it from like fiber to the premise. Look at it from a deployment setup, right? U.S. Cellular would have to serve as many people as it possibly can. It would literally have to add hardware to people's homes to be able to serve as many people as it possibly can. And even doing that, you're probably going to have to install it for people to be able to get it.
They would get more customers off of freaking using midband, and they wouldn't have to send somebody to do an install.
Well, exactly, and you wonder why Verizon is pivoting towards midband.
There you go.
Millimeter wave does not have the same because of the narrative of the industry has changed. It ever since Sprint was bought out by T-Mobile and T-Mobile went crazy with N41, the narrative has changed. So what was originally Verizon's big plan 2-3 years ago with millimeter wave, which was quite literally their only plan because they didn't have any other spectrum to use.
Exactly.
They're gonna have to pivot eventually, and you're gonna. I'd be willing to put money on them pivoting pretty hard away from millimeter wave, but they're still gonna build it. They're gonna build it, but not as fast.
But it's not the way that was being reported, because when I sit here and I listen to Tyrone, he's like, "Oh, they're still spending money on millimeter wave, and they're putting money on C-band also." So if you're still spending at levels that was ridiculous for just millimeter wave, and you're spending on C-band, like, are you saying that, hey, you figured out the holy grail of millimeter wave, or are you just saving face so it doesn't look like you giving up on a project that didn't have any end goal?
You got to remember too, the bulk of the spending and cost in doing millimeter wave was not it's not the sites themselves, it's the fiber. it's the burying, it's the splicing, it's all of that additional prep work that has to be done is the most expensive part. And
or when you end up sending the contractors out and they cut through multiple lines of your other people's stuff. Yeah. We all
exactly.
understand.
That's the most expensive part. But now that a lot of places, the fiber is already there. So the remaining cost is really not that significant, where they can continue to densify within their footprint and then allocate more money to build out C-band.
Yeah, the millimeter wave is still really good in a scenario like apartment buildings, right? In an apartment building, you're going to have hundreds of people in one spot. Okay, that's where the C-band is going to struggle. But if you put a millimeter wave node out in front of the apartment complex, you don't have to build a plant into the apartment complex, and you can still maybe pick up some customers. That's how I look at the millimeter wave, at least what I've seen. You stick it right outside an apartment, you pick up everybody on the front side of that building. They might have AT&T fiber in the building, but they might be mad at AT&T and switch to go to that millimeter wave.
And that's how I always looked at fixed wireless, and not because of my allegiance to said one carrier or another, but I looked at it more along the lines of kind of like an opportunistic money maker. It's like, yo, we got this extra capacity that we can offer. Why not just try to make money off of it? You know what I mean? That's how I looked at it. It was never like I never quite understood going out and sticking a pole in the ground in front of somewhere that may or may not be viable for it when there's already a fiber option where these poles are already at.
If you, like I said, you look at Farmer John, he does both. He does point to point, and if you don't have line of sight, he'll sign you up for the LTE. And that's how I look at the millimeter wave. He's got two options. He's got both. He goes, you don't have line of sight, but we can get you on our LTE side. And Verizon can kind of do the same thing. If you can't get the millimeter wave, you still might be able to get the C-band.
I mean, in this article, they were talking about something similar to like mini macros for fixed wireless, right? So not necessarily putting, fixed wireless or put millimeter waves at street level, but kind of like as close as you can without having to dig holes.
Which I've seen millimeter wave on macro. It works excellent.
I've seen it also.
Works excellent.
You gotta remember, millimeter wave. I mean, if you're already going to go there and you're going to upgrade a cell site, you're going to put C-band, you're going to put CBRS, you're going to upgrade your LTE radios. The additional cost to stick a millimeter wave node up there and down tilt it and point it towards the community, especially if it's got good elevation, doesn't really cost them that much more. And those radios have an extremely high power limit.
And that, like I said, that works well in suburban. It just doesn't work well in rural because of all the trees.
Correct.
Like I said, the rule is where it becomes the problem. And like I said,
for US
Cellular, and even N41, like I didn't know that N41 can travel 5 miles. The way everybody kept talking about N41 was so limited. Shoot, I was picking it up 5 miles from the site.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if you don't have a bunch of
if you're lucky.
If you don't have a bunch of obstructions in the way.
Yeah. I mean, just from a spectral efficiency standpoint and how clean the spectrum is, N41 is inherently worse than any other midband that's available.
I can confirm that it's 5 miles. I was 5 miles from the site at Cell Edge, and they were beaming it at my grandmother's back porch. It's like literally looked at my grandmother's back porch from that cell site. It was like, we're going to do everything we can to convert you. Yeah. But that was just something I know that we've talked about and wanted to get y'all input on is what do you see differently that's going to end up coming down the pipeline? I know that millimeter wave on macros is going to be probably more prevalent in a closer doable future than putting random poles everywhere and you don't know where these your clientele going to be.
And I think you're going to start to see a more strategic approach in the future. Like that's going to be the way that they do it. It's not going to be okay. Well, no, it's not going to be okay. Well, we have fiber plant in this city. Let's go build out on every street corner. That's not going to be their move. Their move is going to be, okay, well, now that we have 140, 160, 180 megahertz of mid-band spectrum available, that's going to carry the bulk of our traffic. Where are the areas that still need additional help?
Right.
Yeah, I'd say the main places where you would do every street corner is like college towns.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, look, when I was
It
in
works.
Greenville, and that's a college town. I mean, there was not millimeter wave. It wasn't millimeter wave, but it was small cells everywhere.
Yeah, they have
So-
to because they have because you got like the nightlife around the colleges when you might have 1,300 people in an intersection from
Right.
the 3 surrounding colleges going to the clubs. And that's what Verizon did in Greensboro. They built it all around the areas where the students go, whether it be the bars and barbershops and little shops and things like that. They've got all that covered. All your little mom and pop pizza shops and all that, all those places. Yeah, that was strategic from Verizon, at least in Greensboro. It was very strategic because without those millimeter wave nodes, those areas would be unusable. You're welcome. Unusable from Verizon previously. So I won't call millimeter wave from Verizon a waste. I can't call it a waste just because I've seen the situation where it does help.
Yeah.
And if I'm Verizon, right, and I got a congested area around a bunch of colleges, I'm not going to try to be focusing on beaming millimeter wave 30 miles for residential when I need to fix this spot right here.
That's true.
It's not going to be first on my list.
That's true. All right, so this next segment that I want to do is going to be called "Making Fun of EVs."
Oh, Jesus.
So the first story on the docket is a Rivian owner decides to act like his truck can ride on the same type of sheet of ice and get stuck in the riverbed. Now they said that this is for. They did say that this is for adventure, but apparently he must have missed which adventure vehicle could do what.
He needed a tank.
So he tried to take this out on the ice, riverbed edge, and gets this thing stuck in the riverbed ice.
Well, Keon, I'm gonna just tell you, I don't think you're just picking on EVs with this because this don't just apply to EVs. A gas truck would have got stuck too.
but hold on. But here's the thing: the gas truck is not as heavy though.
Yeah, hey, bro, I have seen these young dudes with too much money go out and buy $100,000 truck and sink it the same week they bought it.
Oh gosh,
I've seen it, bro. I've seen it. I've seen a guy literally bury his truck in mud past the doors.
Oh no.
Because he thought he could do that.
So I mean, I'm just saying, for all the EV naysayers, yes, they're not ready to slide on the ice like a regular gasoline truck. You know what I mean? They're too heavy.
You're dumb if you take the gas truck out there, though. You're dumb either way.
So yeah, I particularly found this one. I chuckled kind of hard because I'm like, yo, that thing is at least 1.5 times more than the equivalent of that vehicle. So my full size SUV is probably a full 1.5, like a half a ton lighter than this thing is.
How much does that truck weigh? It's the R1S, right?
That's the R1S. Oh, dog, I don't know.
Let's look it up. It's 7,068 pounds. Now let's look up an SUV that's full size.
Look up
what do you call it? I think it's full size SUV would be like a Tahoe.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. This is about the Rivian is about the same size as my Highlander or the Explorer.
Well, then it's not a full size SUV then. Which makes the weight even crazier, actually.
Yep.
Yeah, Explorer is not a full size SUV. Expedition would be a full size SUV.
Let's see. So, how do
Or
you know how much?
Escalade. But Excursion weighs more than a Rivian.
Oh, that I do believe, but the Excursion is huge.
Hey, man, that's the big wig though.
Yo, the Excursion is huge, dog. It look like a Mack truck by itself.
All I was saying is the Excursion would have got stuck too.
Man,
Let's look at how you said how long is the R1 is? It's 200 inches.
Yeah, I don't have the
200
specs in
inches.
front of me.
And let's see. It's actually only 10 inches smaller than the Expedition, Ken.
10 inches?
That's it. Expedition is 210. So it's probably bigger than your car. It's just a Ford Explorer is just below that in length at 198 inches. So it's somewhere in between a full size SUV and a mid size SUV.
Mm. That's crazy. Well, we can already go on the list and check this off that taking it to the riverbed, you will get stuck. You will get stuck.
But it is significantly heavier than an Expedition. Yes, sir. About 2,000, about 1,500 pounds. So that's basically an Expedition towing a trailer.
Oh God!
With a motorcycle on it.
Dang. That's some weight, boy.
And that's like a sport bike. If it was a Harley, oh God, it was Harley 700-800 pounds.
Oh no. Here you go. Where is it at?
Yeah. People stop doing stupid shit, please. People. Just stop.
No. Then we can't make fun of it, sir. What? This is to make fun of. And then
I think this is more of a loss for the owner than it is for the electric car.
And then at keeping with the segment of crazy EV stuff, long hours in line for Tesla chargers show we need better EV infrastructure. So here's another tilt, another tilt in the opposite direction, showing how we're not ready for EVs, everyone. I understand, now remember, Teslas are the ones that are having problems. You don't hear, the Taycans of the world having any issues right now.
Oh, and that whole Tesla not charging in the cold situation was retarded.
Tesla not charging in the cold.
Because and we can't say it's because it's an EV, because I watched a dude drive a freaking EV across Canada when it was negative temperatures outside, and he was able to charge it just fine.
I think that's because Tesla is being super conservative where the vehicles are. So think of it kind of like the Apple approach. If majority of your vehicles are in fair climate, then you only build a car for those type of climates.
So what you're saying is they made the same mistake as the power companies. they cut corners because it's usually warm.
Yeah, pretty much. Why would you take your Tesla to Canada and drive to Alaska? What compelled your brain to do such a thing? Because it's a car and I wanted to use it.
I'm trying to find that video so you can watch it too, Keon. When you get a chance.
So this was in Europe. EVs need better charging infrastructure. Tesla drivers stranded on Christmas Eve after Model S refused to charge. Here's an article about it. Here go another strike against good old-fashioned electric vehicles. but this was a Tesla charging station, not a electrify America style. You know, a different brand. Matter of fact, EM, how do you feel about EVs in cold weather? You live where the cold originate from.
I mean, I see Tesla drivers doing the absolute most when the weather's really bad.
Are they speeding?
Oh, they
I
think
got
they think that they can get anywhere with
exactly.
with those EVs because they're all-wheel drive and whatever.
Yeah.
They think they are just the bee's knees, and
Oh,
my personal
Yeah,
vehicle is a Honda Civic, so I
yeah.
drive I'm careful when there's snow out because last thing I need is to slide off the road. But these guys, especially the Model X drivers, they're the absolute worst.
You know about
but
the
bro,
ones
I
with the
can tell you
Falcon
though.
wing doors?
Dude, I'm telling you.
But look,
But
bro, you could ask my buddy that has a tow truck company. He talks about how people have 4-wheel drive trucks and they think they're invincible. He says, that's all I pull out in the wintertime is 4-wheel drive trucks.
Mm. Yo, hey,
Because
look,
they be
I was
doing the
driving.
most.
I was driving a cab and I was coming down the road and I had a customer in the car. And this is one of the rare times when it snowed like 20 inches in DC. Okay. It doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. So I'm coming around this bend and I know this bend is there. And this dude in a van flies past me, kicks up all the snow up onto my hood and everything, right? And I was like, yo, if he don't slow down, he's gonna be upside down because it starts curve winding off on this off ramp. We go into the off ramp and this man is upside down, hopped out of his car on the phone. I'm like, you ain't about to get nobody out here anytime soon to help you, sir.
Bro,
You kicked
people
all that snow up on me.
people be getting too confident when they think they got something special.
That's true.
I'll be honest though, I don't see that many. Like, I mean, I guess I don't really have a good scale. I saw a ton of Teslas when I was down in Chicago, but up here, because Tesla can't have their own dealerships here, the adoption rate for those cars is just not as high as it is other places. So
Well, I think a lot of people are just doing the Carvana approach and having it shipped into them. But I'm just saying, I'm always curious about what other places are doing. Because, like, for me personally, in DC, that's all I come across now is people in Teslas. And then you start to see Rivians more. So electric vehicles adoption is happening a whole lot more. Oh man, did you see the Rich Rebuilds review of the Hyundai Ioniq 5?
No, I didn't see Richard, but I saw somebody else.
Well, understand it's a crappy car, but guess what? That car is starting to become more prevalent in DC too.
Yeah.
That is a trash of a vehicle, dog. It's sad. Hyundai was like, "Yo, we just gonna put something out there and hope for the best."
Yo, I saw a freaking electric Jaguar the other day.
Ooh,
SUV. I didn't even know Jaguar had an EV out.
Man, I was at some of these high-end restaurants and hotels, and somebody never seen a Jaguar truck, a Jaguar SUV. Not Jaguar. It was a Lamborghini SUV.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of those.
They were like, they'd never seen one of those.
Hell, I saw one of them in Puerto Rico. I was like, anything pouring out here? Who's driving that?
It was imported. You could tell that was imported.
It was somebody who only lives there part time, who's a millionaire somewhere else.
I saw one of the those Rivian Amazon trucks for the first time.
Oh,
Yep.
Those things look goofy. I don't care what anybody says. I think they look stupid.
Yo, Ian, have you seen the UPS trucks, like the transfer trucks that are electric?
No, not yet.
We've got transfer trucks that are electric, and they're not made by Rivian or Tesla or none of them. I don't know who makes them things, but they're the full-size transfer trucks for UPS.
Wow.
Yeah.
I still don't see. I don't know. It's gonna be a long time before I even consider an EV my personal use.
Hey, look, for me, EVs are closer to my future than I would like to admit, because it's getting to the place now. Like, I have to start thinking about it as a next vehicle of choice. I have to.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
like
look
for
who
me,
beat Tesla. It's Freightliner beat Tesla to it. They've already got their 18-wheeler out, by the way.
oh wow,
That's what UPS is using. They're using the Freightliner. It's called an e-Cascadia. Why does everybody keep beating Tesla to the market?
because it's called vaporware.
Tesla can't get their
It's a
truck
good
out.
idea. It's a good idea on paper, and then you hope for the best.
They couldn't get either one of their trucks out. Their big EV trucks ain't out yet.
No, they actually showed that they showed that they were finally starting to deliver. So they did do that. I think Pepsi's supposed to be getting theirs, and another organization is supposed to be getting a couple of theirs now soon too.
Yeah, the UPS delivery truck looks funny too. The EV delivery truck looks hilarious.
So all right, I got one more story, and then we can talk about whatever after this. But I was curious about this one. This was on TheVerge.com, and this is the reason why I'm talking about this one is because of the fact that I just recently got the Ultra, the Tab 8 Ultra, which this sucker is huge. Okay, do you think that people care about the iPad Mini even today?
Absolutely.
I don't get how they do though. I mean, I know people like them, but like, what's the point of getting a tablet that small?
I don't see it. I don't see it, man. Look, it used to be a little niche for it, right? Like you could use it as a GPS, but now everything's got like their own dash, dash mounted tablets and different things like from the auto company. That was because the infotainment system sucked.
I'd rather just have a regular iPad. It's cheaper and it's got a bigger screen.
But my thing is like, look at what happened when Apple decided to do mini anything. It didn't go anywhere.
So the iPad Mini is like a smash hit, though. A lot of people really like it.
But I think the regular one still outsells it, doesn't it?
Oh well, yeah, obviously. But Apple pushes out more tablets than any other company.
Oh yeah, I get that. I'm just saying I don't get the Mini thing. That's what I don't get. Like, why buy the Mini over buying the regular? That's what I'm asking.
My biggest question is like this: is I don't see a need for it anymore. Like there was a need for a nice, good 7-inch tablet 5-6 years ago, but now it doesn't make any sense to have one now. I mean, shoot, my phone is literally about 7 inches now. My folding phone is about 7 inches.
Like, I would almost get it, Keon, if the Mini were cheaper, but it's more expensive because they put a better processor in it or something.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably gonna just give it updated internals.
Yeah, but the thing is that they're already overpowered. So what are you really gaining from that better processor? They're all overpowered anyway. For what Apple lets you do.
Hey, look,
it's like this, Keon. It's like this, Keon. If all you do is browse the web and use the calculator on Windows, do you need to get a fucking i9?
No.
But that's what basically.
And nor would I tell somebody to have to buy a Core i9 to do all that with. You're like, oh no, keep yourself a Core i3, save your money, call it a day, or wait for a deal. Wait for one of those deals where you can end up getting a Core i9 for the price of a Core i3.
And this is why I don't think we're going to get a foldable iPhone, because it'll get into the iPad mini space. And Apple's renowned for not letting their products interfere. You make a foldable iPhone that has the same size screen as a mini unfolded, then who buys the mini and the iPhone Fold?
I think that if Apple does a folding phone, it's going to be within the same footprint as their current phone. I don't think they're going to do where. I don't think they're going to go into the whole tablet size.
What I'm saying is an Ultra though. An Ultra is what, 6.8 inches? What is that going to be unfolded? It's the damn Ultra is almost 7 inches now.
That's true. But here's the thing: people do want a bigger screen, but they don't want. But they don't want the bigger screen at the cost of viability. Like they want to use a bigger screen, but they're not willing to walk around with a bigger screen.
Yeah,
and that's where the iPad Mini fills a niche. It's big enough,
but it's only a niche though. It's like,
I mean, it's an 8.3 inch display. That's a decently sized screen.
Yeah, but here, what about the iPhone Mini? I mean, yeah, it's a smaller phone, but it didn't sell as well.
Well, that's partially due to the fact that I think the 12 mini and all of the outstanding issues with the 12 mini when that came out kind of killed that.
Oh, and by the way, Apple is actually having their worst year on tablets this year, by the way.
What?
Yeah, their sales are down on tablets. Their sales are up on their computers and down on their tablets.
Because the iPads are so expensive and so limited.
Oh, that's weird.
Like
I would have never thought that.
Well, they literally dropped $1 billion they dropped $1 billion in iPad sales in 2022.
Because I mean, the MacBooks, especially the Airs, have gotten so cheap, and they're just as powerful. And I think Apple overestimates the amount of people who are willing to spend. Let's see, what does the 12.9 inch iPad Pro go for? A minimum of $1,100 for a laptop-like replacement that can't do laptop things.
Well, that's not good.
Or I mean, and Apple, the iPads are like a thing that I have always just hated. I hate the way Apple does them. Great product, hate the way they do it. The newest iPad is a prime example.
I just looked at a review of the Tab 8 Ultra, and one of these people on CNET was like using it as like a dual screen setup. So he had DeX on the bigger screen, and then they were transferring data via DeX over to like their tablet from within the tablet mode on the Ultra. So they were dual using this one device for multiple different things. I'm like, where's the iPad version of this?
Well,
where's Mac?
That's the whole problem. That's the whole problem.
It's called a Mac. It's called a MacBook. That's the iPad version. Just get a MacBook. Just get a MacBook. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, solve your problems. It'll solve your problems.
And I think Samsung has proven, especially with this newest generation of tablets, that they've sort of they've rediscovered their capabilities when it comes to making those tablets. The S8 Plus, the S8 Ultra outperform in terms of functionality the iPad in every way.
I mean, hey, look, it makes me rethink about, like, for me, yeah, I have a Windows laptop, but God, man, DeX is close. It's not that far behind, and it's more versatile.
You just can't. Which is why I'm trying to figure out is at what point does Android ecosystem try to target desktop software, or do they ever try to target it?
I don't know.
That's the missing silver bullet right there.
That's true.
When you So for example, right, well, pretty much I think almost everybody can agree, pretty much all the phones have become stagnant for the most part, whether it's Apple or Android. It's pretty much kind of stagnant. There's really no new things. What's the next thing that gets them into the next 10 years?
Now here's the thing, that Google is still pushing Fuchsia. Is that when we start looking at desktop as a mobile operating system at that point?
What I'm saying is the target in the desktop space is Windows. Why isn't Android trying to compete? Why don't Android start going to some of these software vendors and make some deals to get some of this desktop software on Android? We know Apple's not going to do it, but why doesn't Samsung do that?
I don't know.
We're starting to get good processors now. The new chip that's coming is right on Apple's ass. It's on Apple's ass. We know it gets the processing power.
Everybody's developing some type of video editor, but the main ones that people want are not being developed for Android. DaVinci Resolve is not available on Android.
But it
I think that the second it does, I think that's when people are going to really start giving, the Samsungs and whoever comes out with an Android equivalent a lot more bigger look.
Because think about this, Keon, right? You imagine you could run full desktop DaVinci Resolve, right, on Android, right? Yeah. You take the phone, you shoot the video, you just go right into Dex and start editing. You don't even have to transfer it nowhere. Everything is there. And I'm like, why is Samsung not trying to figure this out? Even if they got to just buy one of these companies, go buy DaVinci Resolve. Really? Look, that's what made Apple so great. Apple has Logic. Well, Logic was already, the people behind making Logic was already a thing. Apple just purchased it. They bought it out, and now they've got Logic in their ecosystem. Well, if you can't get the developers to develop for your platform, fuck it, buy
them. But here's the thing. Look. Adobe's not directly developing to iOS. I mean, not developing directly. They're doing it kind of like a web wrap, a web client. Yeah. So they're not going directly at it too.
You still can't get third-party plugins in. That's the reason why I would say that even though you can run like Adobe on the iPads and whatnot, you can't use third-party plugins. You can only use what's available in that system. You can't just go download a random video plugin from a random company and have it in there. That's where Apple's going to be limited. Android doesn't have that problem.
Right. Now the question is it always comes down to the developer, which I always say developers are lazy. I'm sorry if there's any developers in looking at this podcast, but this is just something I've always understood, is that instead of the obvious path, I feel that developers always go for prestige. Like I talked to one in my car a couple of years ago, and he was dead set on developing for iOS before he went with Android. And the whole reason was because he would have got more praise from being on Apple than was on Android. But he had a bigger chance for his app to get rejected on iOS though.
Yep.
Like you have a bigger chance for your app to be rejected and get this letter coming back from, well, it doesn't cross a number of our guidelines. And they don't even tell you which guidelines it is. It's like you don't qualify because of our guidelines. Which ones is it? Did I not get it? Well, you're gonna figure it out on your own. And then resubmit again and try it again.
Like I say, we got to start blurring the lines. They got to start blurring the lines. That's the only thing they can really do next is blur the lines.
Dex is already there, dog. I mean,
the interface, but you still can't get all the software. That's the thing. So that's true. That's the reason why Dex hasn't really taken off crazy. Like it's a cool thing, but all you get extra from Dex is a desktop environment, and even then, half the apps, the developers aren't even writing the apps for Dex, so they look funny in Dex.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of the things where at some point, like Samsung's going to have to get some balls. That's the other problem. Just like you said, you don't think Google wants to piss off Samsung. I don't think Samsung wants to piss off Google or any other developer. But that's what they need to do. They need to have some Apple balls and say, look, this is what we want. You want to be on our platform. We need you to step up your game and give us a full desktop version of this software or a certain software.
Samsung, grow your Apple cojones.
Yeah. That's the one thing I have to give Apple. Apple ain't afraid to say, hey, this is how we want it. Do it.
I just don't know what's holding them back.
Apple got to go right to ARM because they had the balls to do it.
That's true.
And yes,
they're pretty much dragging everybody kicking and screaming straight in the arm.
Exactly.
So I mean, if you like it or not, you're already on ARM. You might as well go ahead and put it on one of the most popular, I mean, if not the popular operating system worldwide. Put it on Android.
Yep.
So
if it means Samsung needs to go spend some money, buy a few software development companies, do it. That's what the video games companies do. Sony goes out and buys game studios. Microsoft goes out and buys game studios.
I mean, Samsung went out. I mean, basically, Samsung probably was the reason why we end up getting Matter, because they unified multiple. They ended up getting rid of like multiple different users that were out in the market. Where they went and bought Smart Things, which they incorporated into all their stuff now. A couple of other ones was languishing, but Samsung was the linchpin.
They're just gonna have to get some balls and do something different. And who knows, if Google Future comes and Google decides to keep it for themselves, and then Samsung may be back in the whole boat of, well, shoot, we got to go make Tizen work again.
Well, Tizen was just Android without Android's APIs.
To a certain extent. But my point is they need to be working with these developers to get it done.
That's true.
So, like an example, Apple didn't just decide on a Thursday that they were going ARM. They were already having that software and working on that for the last 10, 12 years. They were working on Mac OS for ARM back when they first transitioned to x86.
No, I believe it.
When they left PowerPC, they were already developing iOS. They were already developing Mac OS for ARM. Even when they were doing it for x86, they were already doing it. They didn't wake up and do this. This was a long process. These other companies are BSing when they need to already be doing it, just like Windows. Windows should have been being serious with ARM 10, 12, 13 years ago.
And transition, and it should have already been making that transition.
And now what the problem is, they keep having to freaking try to squeeze it into ARM now, trying to catch up when they could have had 10 years of work done. You see? That's why we keep getting these half experienced Windows laptops with ARM.
What is it? What is it? What's the Windows, like their version? What's it?
Well, you mean the original ARM Windows was RT?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was RT. That was a freaking like crap version of Windows with half the features removed, so you couldn't run any apps that were x86 whatsoever. Even the emulation, there was no emulation available. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous they even put that product out.
I'm just thinking that I feel like developers are just waiting for somebody to make it easier for them instead of just going ahead and just build your system from the ground up again. If you want to make it user friendly and plug-in friendly and all the rest of the stuff friendly, you're going to have to build it from the ground up.
Plus, I'm going to tell you something else too, though, Keon. I do think that Intel and AMD kind of have a stronghold on some of this. I think they are probably slowing down ARM outside of Mac OS. They're probably slowing it down by giving these developers, they're doing something with these developers to keep them from really trying to go fully ARM. I just believe it in my soul. Because they're not ready for ARM. If they were ready for ARM, I guarantee you, we have so many freaking developers working their asses off. If Intel is about to drop some fucking ARM chip.
I do. I'm gonna have to lean in and agree with you on that one due to this fact, right? It doesn't make any sense that how big of an explosion that it was for Apple to go ARM, and then nothing else has happened since then. I do feel that that Qualcomm is probably holding everything up, or
Well, they
making the
give Qualcomm.
transition a whole lot harder.
I don't think it's Qualcomm because Qualcomm has everything to gain.
Yeah, but it's very like
Intel and AMD are the losers in that.
true.
What does Qualcomm lose from all of a sudden being on all these desktop PCs and laptops? What do they lose?
Do you know? Here you go. Here you go. I think that it's kind of like waking the sleeping dragon because AMD, not Intel, is more poised to make a pivot into ARM than Intel would.
Yeah, but it's
So,
still easier for them not to.
huh?
That's what I'm saying. They lose in this battle. Unless they got some ARM chip hiding in the back that they ain't talking about. Or
Yeah, I
they're
don't
fight,
know.
or who's the other thing? We got. I don't think I don't even know, dude. I've never looked it up. Does AMD have a ARM license?
They do. They do. AMD does have an ARM license.
I know Intel does.
But I was just looking at a video talking about how AMD literally did everything they could to get back to like fighting weight. But here's the problem: like they are bare bones at what they're doing right now. They make the chips and they send it over to TSMC to do everything, right?
Nah.
So they don't manufacture any of their own chips right now. I mean, except for
No.
maybe on their video card side, maybe, but that's it.
But I tell you what pisses me off, right? Every time you do get any kind of news about ARM, right? Even with AMD, right? Like there's an
Uh-huh.
article about Microsoft and AMD working on an ARM processor for laptops. But when you actually go into it, all you find is AMD's just gonna do the graphics.
Mm.
What the hell is that?
I'm telling you, man, it seems like they nobody in the other side of the industry or the PC side has decided to wake up yet. Like, Apple's over here getting this fanfare for moving over to the M1, now the M2 and the M2 Ultra and all this other stuff. This jazz is going on. And on the PC side, it's like, yeah, we're okay. X86 is still chugging along. La 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 la. Let's keep everything the same. Nobody makes any rash movements.
But it's like
Remember,
this, right? There's a former AMD employee as a chip architect. He was actually working on the ARM for AMD, and AMD canned it. They just canceled it.
see, which means
So that means
that means there's something afoot, man. Well, we are conspiracy theories right now, man. This is getting serious. If you don't show up to work tomorrow, I'm gonna know that something happened.
yeah, because what AMD did, if you remember the Opteron chips, the server chips, AMD was doing those on them.
Right.
So they have ARM licenses.
It doesn't seem like they're ready to move.
They don't want to. They're being lazy, just like the developers. They're gonna try to ride x86 out until the end. And my fear is they're gonna wait too long. They're gonna wait way too long, and they're going to die because
you're gonna sit here and let Apple have 5 years of free development where they could actually sit up here and lose and make crappy products for the next 5 years, and then all of a sudden when they finally like end up stitching together 4 of those M4s whenever they come out to it, let's say it's the M5, and you're like, oh man, we put 5 M5s together for a desktop experience as no other. And then everybody's like, oh, it just killed x86. Oh no, now we gotta hurry up and go to ARM.
Well, yeah, but you gotta realize it doesn't just kill x86; it kills everything outside of Apple because Apple ain't sharing that shit.
But I'm just saying like that. That's what they're working on. They're working on putting multiple of these They're working on putting multiple of these M processors together, so they can get rid of that mega workstation that was $55,000 with $1,000 wheels, so they could all be all profit.
You know what's crazy? It's like they're letting Apple get all the Infinity Stones. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes. Oh my God. That's exactly what they're doing. How are you going to sit here and let Apple Thanos walk around the universe and start collecting all the stones right now with no pushback?
Dog. That's exactly what they're doing.
With no pushback.
Microsoft needs to grow some balls too. And they need to go ahead and scrap the entire x86 thing. Just scrap it. Start from scratch. Build Windows from the ground up on ARM. Do not keep trying to port freaking existing Windows crap over. Just build it up from the damn ground. Just freaking do it.
Hey, isn't RISC-V just another branch of ARM, right?
Yeah, ARM runs RISC code.
Okay.
RISC just means reduced instruction set compute. And when you say RISC-V is purpose-built ARM.
Oh.
So so for example, you can have a generic chip and then have that chip do anything, right? Well, RISC-V is if you need a chip for a lawnmower, you build it specifically for lawnmower duties. That's what RISC-V is. It's purpose-built ARM, not let's stick a 888 in everything type of thing, which allows them to make the chips cheaper and to get the exact functionality that they need.
Right. I was just wondering. I didn't know there was a bigger difference between the two. So
the closest thing we got to RISC-V is the Oculus. The Oculus is the closest thing we've got to RISC-V right now. The Oculus headsets are unique because they're set up to run all those cameras simultaneously. They actually have built that purpose-built just for the Oculus. That's what RISC-V would technically be. If you build a chip just for the exact job.
What about the Tensor chip for the Pixels?
No, because once again, that is still a generic chip in general because you're making a chip that can pretty much just process data regardless of what the data is.
Okay.
You can take a Tensor chip and stick it in a tablet too. But what I'm saying, okay, I'll give you an example. If you make you ever seen a lawnmower engine in a car?
I'm gonna have to say no, I have not. But I have seen I've seen a gasoline engine in a lawnmower though.
Well, I mean,
I've seen that
lawnmowers do have gasoline engines, but I'm just saying they build it specifically for the lawnmower duty. They don't build an engine and then stick it in everything. I'm saying they build it. So imagine a lawnmower is a device and the chip has to control everything. Well, if you need a chip that only controls how fast the blades are, you program it and you put the cores in there that control the blade speed. And then you put another core that controls the injection. Same thing. A car computer is technically like an ARM RISC-V. A car computer is built to operate an engine. It's not they're not throwing 888 chips in car computers and just saying, hey, do this. You run engines now. They're building purpose-built ARM is what RISC-V is. It's built just for the job it does and nothing else.
I just don't understand this. I just don't understand this industry right now. They are literally letting Apple get away with murder right now,
and they're
not answering it at all. Like as soon as the M1 chip got dropped, that's exactly when you should have answered. Said,
this is how I'm about to offend a whole group of people, but this is what happens when you let boomers run the company.
Oh, dagger.
They don't want to let go. They want to hold on to some shit forever. They don't want to let go.
Like, I mean, here's the thing. I would have thought that Windows would be like one of the ones that would turn and look at Apple and go, okay, so we see your M1. Well, guess what? We running Windows on Android now. What? Like, that's how far we going. We going all the way down.
Well, see, I get it, right? So the biggest holdup for Windows is they're trying to have backwards compatibility with shit from 1995. That's the biggest problem. So on an enterprise level, yeah, keep it x86 because you got that $1 billion machine that has to have a serial port to connect it. Okay, I get it. But for tablets and mobile laptops, I doubt like there's a whole market of people who are the same market that buys MacBooks. They're not going to be plugging up a damn machine from 1995 that has a serial port and has to have all the old drivers from 95 to still work. That's the problem with Windows. It still has drivers from shit that was made 30 years ago in there.
Whoa.
And that's the thing. I got a $3,000 machine right now downstairs that I'm talking about that the software last update was 1996. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, I got one. It's called a it's a freaking TDR machine.
Golly.
And the software is dated 96 as the last update, and it uses a serial port, and we have to use a serial adapter, and you can only use it on Windows because Windows is the only thing that still supports it.
Okay, this goes back to the 3G shutdown, man. At what point do we just go tough cookies? You know what? You can always buy this You can always buy this software and put it into put it inside of a glass case and worship it later on. But we're gonna have to let you go. At what point does Windows and Microsoft go? Yeah, we got to go towards the future, guys. And I understand you like for us to stay with the DeLorean, but even the DeLorean's got a new look right now. Come on, dog. The DeLorean, they got a new DeLorean on the street right now that's electric. Okay?
Keon, do you see this? This is the old ass machine that needs that old ass driver from Windows and that old ass software because it runs on a freaking stereo port.
Oh God.
Okay.
Hold on.
And yeah,
I gotta pin this.
There are newer machines out, but guess what? They still use that old software. Can you get me one of these with a USB-C port on it, please?
You talk about serial to USB-C?
No, I'm just saying, make it USB-C. What I'm saying is, there's devices like that in the manufacturing world that they're still relying on. Bro, I know a factory right now. They've got a robotic welder that's running Windows freaking Millennium Edition.
Oh God, no.
Okay, but the robot machine is like fucking $3 million. So you tell them, hey, the new Windows coming out ain't gonna work no more. They gonna keep that thing running on Windows Millennium Edition because it's still works.
And you know what? And that's perfectly fine. But guess what? They're not upgrading the RT. They're not gonna upgrade that to ARM. Windows for ARM. That thing will stay on Millennium Edition.
Exactly, but that's why Microsoft doesn't want to ditch the code in Windows. They'd have to ditch a bunch of that code and start from scratch. That's what they don't want to do.
And all that code is just holding us back. Remember that, people. Remember, all that code is holding us back. We could be chilling on Pluto right now, but guess what? We still putting around our own little atmosphere because we holding ourselves back.
Shoot, if you ever want to go into just the bare bones Windows install and look at how many freaking old drivers are in there, have you ever just went in there and looked?
I think I looked at it when I was heavily installing, and that was 98, and then Windows 98 was long because it was uploading it was still uploading DOS, like bare bones DOS in the back. And I'm like, dog, this thing's taking forever. It was literally a brand new machine installed running Windows 98 for the first time would take an hour and a half.
Yep.
It took an hour and a half just to get Windows 98 from like this. Like after you finish building a computer, you still had another hour and a half to go before you were able to move the mouse cursor independently.
Bro, I remember them days.
Oh, and because it was trying to update all the old drivers of possible what I might plug into this thing and all up. I'm just happy to finally get the mouse and keyboard plugged in. I'm not trying to support that dot matrix printer that was from the 70s and 80s that you think I'm going to plug into this computer. No, let that thing go.
What was that? Do you remember they actually? What was it? The actual printer port. What was it? What
Man,
was it called? The
oh,
actual
God.
printer port.
Oh, I forget what it's called. It was like it was beyond serious. It was like Scuzzy. Scuzzy.
Was
It
it
was a
Was
Scuzzy
it
port.
Scuzzy for printers?
It
I
was
remember
a Scuzzy
Scuzzy.
port for printers. Yes, it was Scuzzy port because here no radio. The port was so big. Okay,
Yes,
remember the port is so big that either it was a screw down, which means it had two screws and you had to screw into the chassis of the case,
it was
or it
actually the
was
parallel port. It was actually a parallel port for printers.
oh god,
Scuzzy was better.
yes,
Scuzzy was an upgrade because they still had Scuzzy on zip disk. If we ever use zip disk, we use a lot of zip
yeah,
disk in music
yeah, they
production,
did, yeah,
and because of the Akai sampler machines could use a zip disk, and we used to have.
yeah.
Oh
So,
Jesus!
yo, look, man, I'm just saying, there's got to be a certain cutoff, and I think that honestly, that Intel and AMD are not ready to let go of x86 yet. So Windows is not going to do it because Windows is like, oh no, we're gonna divide our base. I mean, them people are not upgrading. Let them go. You know,
Yeah, let them.
if they want support, make them pay for it. Your edition is still not working like it's supposed to. You put a team on it. Like let that look that $3 million machine that they're never going to upgrade. Let them upgrade it on their own time. When it starts costing you $1 million to give to Microsoft to upgrade Millennial Edition of Windows, then you'll start thinking about that $3 million machine and go, is it worth it? Is it really worth it? You know what I mean?
Which I'm certain robotic welders are a lot cheaper now than they were back when they bought that machine.
Huh. Hold on. So red cables. What was it? Cables for the backbone. Oh, what were you referring to? I must have missed it. My bad. I must have missed it. Repeat that again for me. But I'm just saying that for the most part, we got to have a break. It's got to be a break from the old to the new. And DaVinci Resolve is not going to switch because guess what? Everybody's still going to be on Windows. No matter how good Dex is, parallel cables.
Yep.
I mean, these companies they do it for the money, man.
If I'm not mistaken, Scuzzy was daisy chainable.
You know what? It was. It was because you can end up having an in and out on one
Yep.
device.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that's how we had them. We had the MPC daisy chain with a zip drive.
Hey,
And
look,
we were running on Mac, by the way. We were running on Mac, by the way, on that.
ooh. And guess who didn't hold on to the schedule?
It was a Mac G5.
Mm.
And then we upgrade to the Firewire drive.
I do. That's one thing I do envy about Apple. Apple does not care. Like they're like, yo, we will cut off our legs. We don't care. What legs? We don't need that no more. We're gonna be hovering everywhere.
They did it
Hoverboards
to
for
me.
everybody.
I bought a brand new Mac Pro right when Mountain Lion came out. And when Mountain Lion came out, that's whenever they got rid of Rosetta on Mac. So if you remember when they first went Intel, they had Rosetta to emulate all the PowerPC stuff. I still had a bunch of software that needed Rosetta to run. I bought a brand new Mac Pro. This is like 2011. 2011. I bought a Mac Pro and had to take it back to the store because I couldn't downgrade from Mountain Lion. So I couldn't run any of my software. Apple don't care.
Sir.
Apple didn't care, son.
Look, understand something. Apple looked at the floppy disk and was like, "Sorry, all y'all Oregon Trail people, but tough cookies."
Yeah, and then you should have seen the guy in the Apple store. He was just like, "You want to return this machine?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "But why?" I'm like, "Bro, I got 13 grand of software I can't put on it."
Mm,
He was like, I was like, can I at least downgrade the software? No, you can't do
no.
that. Ah, fuck. Now there was
Yo,
ways for me
look,
to do it, but I think it would have messed up my warranty or something to do it.
no radio.
And I was
You
just
were
like,
trying to downgrade. I've seen people literally hold like I've seen DJ, like people who DJ with Macs do everything they can to try to hold on to their old hardware and upgrade.
yep.
You were trying to downgrade, like downgrade. What does that?
But I wasn't the only one. It took like 6 months for the developers to catch up. When they got rid of Rosetta, all developers had to catch up. It was like 6 months. I know a bunch of music guys that were just like, yeah, I can't even use this new computer.
Mm.
You sit there and look at it. Web browse.
It's a nice paperweight. It's not.
It was
If it don't make dollars, then it don't make sense.
That's where I give them. They did the right thing with M1. I think they learned from Mountain Lion because with M1 they came right the gate with the emulator, so you could keep running your old stuff.
Right.
You know, it might not run at 100%. You know, run at 80%, 70%, but it would run. They didn't do that with Mountain Lion, bro. They tore the bandit off with Mountain Lion.
They were like, and we're off.
That dude at that store just could not believe me, dog. He was like, why would you ever want to return a Mac?
Are you saying? Do you have the look on his face like puzzled and bewildered?
Yeah,
Wow.
dog. And I went and
Who
bought a brand new
does this?
Windows. I went and bought a Windows laptop. Is what I did.
Who would ever? But I'm saying that's something I have always commended Apple. Look, just because they got rid of headphone jack, that wasn't like a big leap because I was
wasn't.
Look, because I was already using Bluetooth on everything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I was exclusive Bluetooth. I've been exclusive Bluetooth.
I was exclusive Bluetooth for a long time.
Look, I was on Bluetooth before the iPhone even came out in the first place. So I had a Motorola Hint with Bluetooth headset.
Hey, there you go. But that was just something like they get rid of they get rid of they got rid of this, they get rid of that. I'm like, that's fine. But I mean, Apple at least, and I hate to say these words, but they had the courage to move forward. Okay, they had the courage. Yep. Windows and Microsoft is like scared that somebody in some long lost society is gonna pop up and go, "You're not supporting Windows 95 anymore? How dare you?"
Or you're not supporting that machine that I need to run it on.
See?
But yeah, that's what it is, though. It's the enterprise side. It still has a bunch of old crap that Windows wants to try to
my thing
advertise.
is enterprise needs to get out of the way. You're enterprise for a reason. Pay the money. I'm telling you, the development cost always changes what people do. If it costs, I'm telling you, once it gets to the place, like if I was Microsoft, exactly what I would do. We're like, hey, look, Windows XP is not going to live forever. We're not playing this game with y'all. You want us to still develop for it? Guess what? We're going to develop for it, but every single update is going to cost you $100,000. There you go. Now, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars are we going to go in before you go, nah, we good?
But here's exactly
how it's going to be.
But I will give you the other side of the argument, too, is that Apple's never been big in enterprise because for that reason as well. You don't see enterprises running Apple servers, which is why the Apple server business is non-existent. They tried.
They do try.
No, not anymore. They don't try anymore. When the last time you seen a damn Apple server? You ain't.
You haven't. You don't. and look, and the ones that somebody probably is gonna message me in my comments and go, man, I saw it on YouTube. They put a whole bunch of Mac Minis together. Yeah, somebody took a bunch of Mac Minis to make a server.
Yeah, because like a business I used to work for, they use Linux on all the point of sale systems, but the server is still it's a Windows server running all of those Linux clients.
Hey, it didn't say it was gonna be pretty. He just got work.
That was a little company by the name of AutoZone. Don't know if that's what they're still doing, but that's what they were doing back then. We had Linux clients and a Windows server in the back.
I'm gonna jump off that cliff and say they probably a lot of other companies doing something similar. It's like, yo, how can we get our people in the front of the store to access the computer in the back of the store for cheap?
Yeah, for the cheap.
for the
The
cheap.
cheap way is a really cheap client, and we host everything on the Windows server.
There you go. That's why when they type in the part number, it takes forever for it to come back. You be sitting there putting I done knitted a whole sweater by the time the part number come back. We're like, I have a good idea where it is in the store. Can I go get it?
Mm-hmm. They were running. Oh God! It's the Linux one that runs. It starts with an S. The Linux distro starts with an S.
Oh God, what distro is that? I forget.
It's like Solaris or something.
Ooh. They didn't even go with they didn't even go with a brand a recognizable name. They went with something off.
Yeah, because they had their software made specially for it. So
see, even when you end up going more open source, they still got to go proprietary. Why? Why do it for Red Hat?
Bro, because they got somebody that's who you got right. These companies, they have something sold to them. They go, hey, we need a new POS system. Somebody comes in, hey, we've got this developed for this.
Same.
Look at how this works.
Man. Well, no radio. We're gonna get ready to call it for this evening. I wanted to thank you, and then also, I didn't get a chance to do this last time I was on. I think this this happened over the holiday weekend, so I wanted to pull this up. For all the thong wearers out there, you gotta give thanks to our Lord and Savior Mike Sievert.
Oh Jesus, the CEO of the year.
CEO of the year. What's up, Ash? Good night, man. Our Lord and Savior, wireless Christ. Mike Sievert getting the going from humble beginnings at Clearwire to super CEO of the year. Nobody ever thought you could, sir, but you did. You did.
Is that why Tim is leaving Apple? Because he wasn't CEO of the year?
Yo,
y'all really haven't. Did y'all even look it up when I told y'all that? Did y'all look it up?
Dog, I thought you were lying. I'm not even gonna front. I thought you were trolling me when you said it. I swear I thought you were trolling me. So what? So you're saying that he's leaving?
I wanted to let it boil in the pot. That's why I ain't saying nothing after I posted it in the group.
Look, when I saw you put it in, and I said, what? And then I think EM said, nah, he ain't leaving. And I was like, okay, I'm waiting for a rebuttal. Where's the rebuttal?
Who was it? Somebody said, man, why are you leaving us like this? Who was it?
Wow. Hold on, let me go back and see.
Somebody was cooking, boy. They was like, what? You just ain't gonna say nothing else on radio? Who was it?
Yeah, bro, I called you a tease for that.
See?
Yeah, that's right. I was teasing. Hey, but that's what the news is. That's what they're saying. He is leaving Apple.
Man. Tim Apple leaving Apple. Who would ever thought? Now the question is when is this going to happen?
At the moment, they're saying somewhere around 2025, he's out the door.
Oh, he give a major heads up.
Yeah, get heads up. Yeah.
He giving a major. I'm thinking he about to leave tomorrow.
But like I said, we can talk about how great Apple is and all, but historically, they're not doing as well as they have in the past.
That is true.
So, and as I told you, even iPad sales are down. Sales are down for them, not up.
Huh. I don't know.
But sales may be down for everybody right now, so I don't have to dig deep.
Well, the overall PC market is down too. I mean, I was just looking at the documentary on CNBC when they were talking about AMD's rise, and even they are starting to feel the hit where the PC sales have slowed down.
Here it is, October 11th. Computer World. It says PC sales fall off of a cliff.
See,
It says the PC market has fallen nearly 20% compared to 2021.
well, because when everybody was at home, they needed a PC. Now everybody's going back to work.
Well, it's also saying that it's also having that we're also in a gray area where, like I said earlier, about how there's really nothing being innovated. Well, PCs from 2 years ago are good enough. People don't need a new PC. That's the other side.
True.
We're getting to the point where there's nothing new. That's what's going on. There's nothing new. There's no reason to run out and go buy a PC right now. The one you got is probably good enough.
See, and Windows could be the next innovator, but no, they still supporting scuds, bastards.
Yeah.
Let it go, man. Just let it go. Those zip drives, man. We got terabyte storage right now. We don't got to worry about kilobyte storage.
I think was it Linus? He was putting like Windows 11 on like a 13-year-old computer, and it actually ran good.
Yes. See, what did that tell you? What did that tell you, kids?
We're stagnant.
We are completely stagnant. Man, but hey, EM, no radio. Thank y'all for coming on a New Year's special. Appreciate it. Anything y'all want to plug before I get ready to jump off? Anything I want to say to the lovely community? Drink more water.
Yo, I just want to say,
chicken.
I just want to give another congratulations to Mike Sievert, CEO of the year. I just want to say, Hans Vestberg, he's on your ass, hope.
No, step your game up, son. Step your game up. How you gonna let the magenta thong twerking all over you right now, yo? How you gonna let that happen?
Bro, you can't forget though, even Mr. Baldy McStanky himself is twerking on him too, bro.
Oh, that's right. Stanky is getting them right now too.
He got him a stripper pole right on top of the Death Star. He's up there spinning on that thing.
Hey, no radio. Even Stanky hitting him with the stanky leg. Do the stanky leg. The stanky leg.
He said, "What's that smell?" That's Verizon's body rotting slowly.
Oh
shit.
all
I want to say is, John Stanky, if you're listening, hit me up. I want one of them sweaters. That's all I'll say.
Man. But hey, I want to say thank you to everybody. We're gonna try to keep this going. If you want to join the conversation, join my Patreon. The link is in the description. If you want to join the conversation, come up here and start talking to everybody, because whatever's on your mind, holler at your boy. But all the links to my page and the channel is in the description. So start out from there. I'm starting to release my road trip videos from the countryside of wireless. So I already started with my country fried wireless for Verizon versus US Cellular. I already started with that. I got AT&T and then T-Mobile to post, and then a couple more videos from there. Stay tuned.
Was a chuck wagon. That was a damn chuck wagon.
Hey, EM, I was still surprised, dog. I did not do any prep work. I just where's the bad spot for US Cellular? Let's find out what's really good. That's all I did. That's all I did. I was like, I'm looking for the bad spot for US Cellular. My family pointed in the direction. I drove there. That's all I did.
All good, bro.
Good. But everybody else, thank y'all for watching. Greatly appreciate it. And y'all have a good one.